what I wanted to say is just a small presentation of my students. Actually, I'm a graphic designer also. I also design posters and books, and I'm into graphic design, but I want to present the other part of my, let's say, professional career, which is teaching at the Academy of Fine Arts. I'm teaching poster design, and I'm teaching editorial design, and I also teach typography. So first of all, this is the logo of our academy, and I will present you some works of my students. On the third year of study, we give the first task, which is music, because we want to focus on musical language and visual language, how to differ those two languages from the others. And we want to have a poster that is a sort of result of connection between visual language and the personality of a person who is designing this poster. I mean, we like transparent design, but this time we really appreciate the influence of a personality. That's what you will see now. The personality of a musician, because each student is obliged to choose one musician that is performing a particular instrument and make a poster about that. So you see different musicians and different attitudes towards this topic. Like you see accordion, guitar, piano, Miles Davis, trumpet. I think this visual language is speaking for itself and really doesn't need any explanation. So we see a lot of different personalities as graphic designers, but also different personalities of those represented artists. You see Nigel Kennedy, B.B. King, and this is John Coltrane, Jack White. And you will see some diplomas. This is an experimental music and art festival identification done by Edgar Wong, our student, on the 5th year of his study. This is a sort of a project that is also a diploma. Another person has done, like 15 years ago, a diploma that is called a case journey, and you see he has made a sort of a shape of a case that is a poster, and each poster tells a story about the country. Like you see Belfast, Berlin, Bethlehem, and actually this was shaped case, cut out as a shape of a case, for a real case. Sarajevo. And this is my diploma from my last year. As a result of Lech Majewski studies, I made a set of square-shaped posters that were identifying jazz in Wielsau Jazz Festival. So I decided to choose music, but not to present it as an abstract, but to use real objects, because it's very easy to represent music by abstraction. That's why I decided to choose objects instead of abstraction. And I created sort of photographic scenography compositions. So this is Richard Galliano, you know, the accordion player. This is Laurie Anderson. And this is a Cuban piano player. This is a drummer. This is Peter Brotzman, experimental saxophone player. This is Joshua Redman, and the bass player. Lee Kenitz, this is an experimental saxophone player. And this is another diploma from our atelier. These are posters concerning districts of Poland. As you see, this is another concept of poster design where the details are playing the main role. You see the space that is almost empty, but when you come closer, you see the details. So this is the other way around that the poster is now regarded. You see like white empty space, but the details are important. This is Krakow. This is Łódź. This is also Łódź. This is Mazurian district where are lakes in Poland. This is Baltic Sea. These are mountains, Tatra mountains. And this is Warsaw. This is also, I guess, lakeside district. And this is a zoo project. This is also a diploma that is concerning ecological subject, and it's based on the things that were found at the airport in the cases that were, smuggled by some people. That actually the zoo are the objects, not the animals, like that. So on the left side you can see the description of the animal, and you see the zebra as an object. And apart from the posters that were actually in reality used by the foundation that were taking care about ecological stuff, there was an educational leaflet editorial thing which was very interesting. Because you could see like a cut-out form, a round form, where you could see an animal element, but while turning the page you could see that this element visible in the circle cutout is not an animal, but an object. So this editorial idea was even more skillful than the poster. And this is, as you see, this is Borges. This is a publication design, editorial design, that was also a diploma made by a girl who designed as well as photography, but also book and a set of posters. This is the whole, let's say, packet of design, of editorial design. It was a case where things were folded like that, like files, and each file was a story. And when you unfolded the story, it looked like that. And on the other side, there was a kind of photo montage with some, subconsciously interesting connotation of a real archaeological photography, but something was added by an author, like this eye. Or like this photography was real, but at the background there was added this thunderstorm. So usually there was something unexpected added. And this is a set of posters for films of Joel Cohen films that you probably know. This guy, as you might see, is influenced with graffiti style. He was a hip-hop music composer and DJ, and he really loved to make graffiti. That's why he used this technique to create typography and his own interpretation of films. And these are also diplomas. This is also a diploma about jazz music. This guy actually designed a set of disc covers for experimental music studio. He interprets portraits of famous players and jazz musicians. So it was double-sided. One side was a portrait, interpretation of the portrait, and the other side was playlist. As you see, these were vinyls actually. And this is another, for Polish radio, another experimental posters. I mean, the studio really existed, and there were, in the 70s, there were engaged in this studio a lot of famous Polish composers. So Łukasz, the guy, he wanted to interpret and bring back the memory from this Polish radio studio, and he made posters that look like that and interpreted those musicians, actually composers. And this is a real alphabet for canon. This girl created an alphabet. Each letter is about the camera, and each letter is representing something about photography and about the canon. And then later the canon used this as a poster card design. This is A, B, and so on, the whole alphabet that was constructed in a way to illustrate photography and also Canon company. This is a quite new diploma. This is a set of posters advertising and promoting Karl Vonnegut and book covers. She also played with pop recognizable motifs and some graffiti also as a technique. This is another thing. This is an identification for International Biennale of Orthodox Culture. Raimund Reichel is a representation of cultural minority Łemków, which is a cultural minority and folklore minority in Poland. And he wanted to present this culture of his nation, and that's why it looks like that. It's very influenced with folklore-styled element. We have also some international students. This guy is Martin Winter, and later he became art director and the president of Rio Burnett in Poland. But first of all, he wanted to combine Norway and Poland in one poster, and he made a set of posters that combine typography and the senses of linguistic meanings. Oh yeah, I'm getting faster. This is Hansel and Gretel and the Tales of Grimm. You probably know it. Actually, this is interesting because this girl used stamps that were made out of potatoes. So she made a whole diploma with potatoes. And she got some prizes for that idea. This is Arabian Nights, the story. This girl made a set of posters that were actually combining the text of 1001 Nights with nowadays news. He's a friend of mine. And this is another diploma about explorers, famous explorers and travelers. It's interesting as a technique because he cut out all the elements and they were hanging and he really photographed it like that. And this is also interesting because she made Cormac McCarthy illustrations. First of all, she drew it, and then she just made it as an Illustrator files. And this is identification for summer jazz days. This one you know, this is Jan Bajtik. He's a very awarded student of our workshop, atelier. He made a series of posters forcing the children to read. These are also his works. And he made a manual to teach children typography, an active book for children as a diploma. Sorry, I have to run fast because I see some signs. This is whole active book for children. I know, but they are, you know.
Here is police.
Here's the police chasing me.
Very nice police.
Yeah.
Very sympathetic.
Very timid police, but okay. You will survive. I will not come here tomorrow. Okay, this is also a diploma, a series of social posters. It's about focusing on practicing bike in Warsaw, that you should use bike as a source of transport. And he really designed it in a reality and photographed it. What's that? Okay, there was a guy who made a social action. He decided to bring people together and made a plastic hippo in the center of Warsaw at the riverside. And he wanted to promote it, just to make a point where people should meet and, you know, just have fun. So he made this social action and promotion, and this surrealistic thing as a violet hippo really happened to be in Warsaw. He designed it, he found a sponsor for that, and he really created it in a space. Okay, so I think it's... Okay, so the last thing is that was awarded at the Warsaw Biennale. It's about water and the desert and, in Africa. So these are infographics, facts, and ethnically some African stuff. Okay, let's finish it like that.